Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It's Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Strategy with Jason. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I don't know if you guys recognize this guy. You guys recognize this guy? This is the one, the only, the oh-so-famous Mr. Mike, the Car Guy Correra.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Did I say your last name right, by the way?
You did.
Okay. Just wanted to make
It's
sure.
the Italian version. If it was spelled with an A, Correra, nobody would mess it up. But the O throws people off. It's all right. It means the same thing. It means race.
Well, Mike, thanks for taking the time to come jam with me on this beautiful Las Vegas afternoon.
It's an honor. It's an honor. Like I said when I got in the car, longtime fan. First time I've had the opportunity to sit in the seat with you. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. Hey, for everybody out there that's watching and listening right now and kind of don't know how you got started in the podcast or started in the industry, I always like kicking off these podcasts, all right, with a little origin story because I'm always super fascinated to find out how people got started in the industry. So, Mike, how did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
The car business. When I graduated high school, I was a mechanic looking for work, and my uncle worked at Cerritos Ford in Southern California. Got me a job as a tune-up technician for a Ford dealer. Mm-hmm. And I started to make friends with the sales guys out front, and in my opinion, you know, they were just jerking around all day. They dressed nice, they weren't greasy, they didn't smell like gas, and they weren't shy about bragging how much money they were making. I'm like, what am I doing?
Like,
busting my knuckles, burning my skin. So I put down my tools, put on a tie, it all went downhill from there. That was in the early 90s. I've been at this for well over 30 years.
You've been at this for a while. So you know what? This would be kind of a cool, since you've been in the business for such a long time and you've seen kind of how the industry has gone through these kind of ebbs and flows and these ups and down waves. I'd love to kind of get your take on just like the current just environment of the automotive industry.
Like you said, I've seen some ups and downs, but nothing like we're seeing right now.
Right?
You know, I stepped out of the showroom 4 years ago and took a job working with a DMS company now. So I'm not in the showroom working at the sales desk, but I'm in the showroom talking to the sales managers, talking to the GMs. I have nearly 40 stores that I consult with and work with, and it's still in my blood, and I feel really, really bad for the salespeople in general, not the sales managers or the GMs per se, because we all know they're making more money than they've ever made before.
That is very true.
But the sales guys, you know, I know stores that have slimmed down their sales force because they don't have a lot of cars in stock. Yep. So why have 10 guys on the floor when you got 60 cars on the lot? You only need 4 guys to sell the volume of cars.
100%, doing a lot more with a lot less.
So a lot of guys, you know, are struggling, salespeople wise.
Yeah, you know, that's funny because, you know, I put a post out there recently, right, kind of talking a little bit about this, and it was interesting to see how many salespeople were like, no, we're really, really hurting. The industry's really, really hurting. And I'm like I consult with many dealerships, and we have never seen profit levels like this before. So
the guys signing the checks are making more money than they've ever made before.
But I still think for the sales guys, there's a lot to be made there, and you know, I know a lot of successful salespeople, and I find definitely. the key to their success is that they've always maintained a solid retention strategy. You know, they weren't the ones that were waiting for the ups at the door.
Right.
You know, they maintained amazing relationships, you know, with their customers, and their customers just keep coming back.
And those are the ones that are still there.
Yeah.
The ones that were out in the front in the pity pot waiting for the up to come in.
Yeah.
And then having to bring them to the salesperson they asked for anyways. Those were the ones that were easy to cut when they were slimming the staff.
100%.
You know, they needed to get rid of those guys, get rid of the greeters on the lot, and just keep the professionals. But believe it or not, there are stores, and I can't get myself in trouble by saying which ones, but there are stores that are not sharing that addendum or that markup that they're charging equally with the salespeople. You know, if a sales guy is on a 20% commission, they're 20% up to MSRP, but then a smaller percent above MSRP. So if you hold that gross and you're not getting paid on it, that's kind of a kick in the teeth, you know?
It is, but I think it's you know, in the industry we've always kind of used this phrase of, you know, working at a car dealership is like operating your own business. It's kind of like the barbershop model, right? Like you're renting the desk, and what you make of it is up to you. Now, do you think that statement is still true today?
Yes and no. I
Okay.
mean, it depends. It's not as easy to find a better opportunity as it once was.
That's true. It is. It's getting harder out there. But so if you were to maybe give some advice to someone who's new and thinking about getting into the business, all right. So they're not in the business. They don't have years and years of clients and customers that they can go back to. What advice would you give to somebody who's new and thinking about getting in the business?
To really research the store. Don't just take an opportunity, if you see an ad in the paper or something online, don't just go in with your sales license and start selling cars, especially if you're not familiar with the business. Find out, there's a mood in a store. I know you can walk into a store and tell how successful that store is before you even see their books or before you talk to the GM. You can feel it.
Well, there's a culture. There's a
an
culture.
attitude. There's
100%.
There's an excitement. Those stores that are rocking and everybody's smiling and feeling good. That's the organization you want to be a part of, because there's a reason the sales guys on the front line are feeling good.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with interviewing the job that you're looking for as much as they're interviewing you.
Yeah, I like that. I mean,
how long has your salespeople been here? Let me talk to the longest guy that's been on your sales floor. Even it's a little bit intimidating when you're just starting off. You don't want to ask the wrong questions or maybe lose an opportunity, but you want to make sure it's the right opportunity too. You are investing in yourself. If you're going to consider this like your own business, you want to start your business and plant your flagpole in the right yard. Go talk to that sales guy. Find out why he's been there for a long time.
And I think that's a good point. I mean, I think anybody out there that's watching or listening that is at a GM or a dealer principal level, it's like, how do you make your business right now attractive to new talent? All right, because look, here's the bottom line. Yes, we're in an inventory shortage. It's not, but it's a shortage. All right, it's a period of time. All right, and I think the most progressive dealers out there that I know are understanding that it's a period of time, and they're getting themselves prepared for one.
They're using this time to get ready for the good times that are coming back. They're making sure that they're training like madmen.
Yes.
If you're not with a customer, you should be trying to get a customer. And if you're not doing one of those, you should be bettering yourself so that when you have that customer, you're ready to go. Used to be, a salesperson would get to work. If he was on at 8, he'd get there at 5 minutes to 8 with his tie in his hand, go to the restroom, put his tie, get a cup of coffee, stop and talk to the receptionist. By the time he was in the mood to get to work, it was 8:30, 8:45.
Yeah.
And then in good times, when customers are all over the place, he would maybe burn through the first up just to get in the mood to sell a car. That guy wasn't going to buy a car. Now I'm ready. Let's bring a customer in.
You're 100% right. We have to be on our A game now all the time. Like it's not an option. And I definitely find that some of the more successful salespeople out there are planning for the future. They're creating the bank. All right, they're putting in those orders or those reservations, right? And they're looking at, in April, May, June, July, I'm going to have, that's going to be there. And I hope that mentality doesn't go away. Because
we know it will, though.
Come on, Mike. All right, so then there's the question, like, how do we make it stick? How do we keep that mentality of let me keep banking, let me keep moving forward, like. It's like so often we're just so focused on just that 30-day cycle, but if you think about it, some of the best salespeople I know don't think about it in 30-day cycles, right? They think about them in like ordering cycles, build-out cycles. Like they know that it's going to come March, and that's when their F-150s are showing up.
And this has forced us to adjust that.
Yeah.
And the good salespeople out there are cultivating their audience, be it online with the multitude of social media tools that are available. If I would have had social media when I was a salesperson, I probably would have stayed a salesperson. I would not have been chasing those titles and moved up, because I could have made all the money I wanted, be as successful as I wanted to be. Yeah. And at 5 o'clock when my shift is over, go home. If my day off is Saturday, I'm going to have enough sales. I don't have to work my day off. I can enjoy my time. That's what I would have been doing is using the tools of technology to build my customer base rather than my little Rolodex with the 3x5 cards, sending out birthday cards, sending out anniversary vehicle cards, and.
But you're 100% right. I mean, I think about it right now. Like, I have a social presence right now, and it's like if I had even a fraction of the social presence I have right now when I was a salesperson, I'd be dangerous.
Right.
I'm don't get me wrong, I was a good salesperson. I wasn't always the greatest one, but I was always in that top 5 consistently.
Same here.
But man, so let's do this. So let's talk a little bit about some of the tools that people do have at their disposal now. What would be 1 or 2 that really gets you excited? That's like, oh man, yeah, I only had that.
if I had to narrow it down right now, I think Instagram is a really, really powerful tool for salespeople in general. You know, and there's a couple ways to look at it. Let me back up. In 2005, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have all these things. I was a sales manager, and I was given the task of taking over an internet sales department that was kind of underperforming.
Yep.
And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a fan of internet sales. I had just come from a dealership where I literally fired the internet sales manager because I was that old school guy. You know, the internet is like a phone. Just get him into the dealership.
Yep.
And we fought so much, I fired him. So then I fast forward to the next dealership. The GM says, "Hey, Mike, I need you to take over this internet department."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?
No, I don't want to do that.
So I had to kind of wash off my brain of all the preconceived notions I had. And I was trying to figure out how I could use the internet for more than just sending emails or reading about something and learning something.
Okay.
I came across a site called LinkedIn. 2005. I looked at it, I set up a profile, I thought, well, if I was selling copiers, you know,
That's
where I was
early
going
LinkedIn
into
too, yeah.
business to business kind of stuff, because this tells me a business, how many employees, that kind of, I could see it being a value, but business to consumer, like for a car dealer, I don't know. So I didn't really do a whole lot with it. I left that dealership and went to a Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealer. And a couple of days after I'm there, one day I get the email from LinkedIn, you know, and I remembered it. So I thought, let me just update it. Sure enough, the next day, a guy sends me a direct message on LinkedIn. "Hey, Mike, we're connected in LinkedIn. I see you're at a Chrysler Dodge Jeep store now. We've been looking for a Grand Cherokee. Would it be worth the drive from Lancaster out to Victorville to see you? By all means, come on down and see me." So I ended up selling a vehicle, not intending to, but using that networking, you know, it kind of evolved from that.
But that's a really good point, though. I mean, you think about this. I mean, like, when we started selling cars, all right, you only had so many ups that would come through in a dealership in a day, right? And then if you were really aggressive and you were smart, you'd go work the service lane, all right? And you'd try to grab a few more there. But to your point, though, I mean, LinkedIn, Instagram, Meta, I'm still getting used to calling it Meta.
I won't.
You won't? You won't.
It's always going to be Facebook.
I get to talk to Bob Lanham later this week, so I'm like, I keep practicing.
You got to say Meta.
I got to keep saying Meta. But I can prospect so much, so fast, so easily, but that's not a part of training. Like, where do I don't see
it was for me.
What?
As a sales manager, that was an integral part of my training. And I encourage
social prospecting.
I was not afraid of it. There are so many GMs that are afraid of their salespeople playing around on Facebook all day. I get it.
Yeah.
But if you guide them and show them,
I know some that actually blocked it off the.
I know plenty of dealers that did the same thing. Yeah, and believe it or not, I've talked to a GM that had the dealership locked down. You know, the firewalls all set, so they couldn't do it on the PCs. And I told him one day, I go, look at outside. You got 7 guys standing around. 5 of them are on their phone. What do you think they're looking at right now? Well, they're probably on Facebook playing. Yeah. So do you think you helped yourself by blocking it off of the PCs? Come on. This is, at the time it was like 2019, but I mean, it's not 1960 where you can control things. As a sales manager, when I went to work in the morning, I would check in.
Yes.
You know, on Facebook. And it wasn't like I was advertising. I would just say, you know, it's a great day, it's beautiful outside or whatever, or I'd take a picture of a cool car that just came in, and I would just share that. I wasn't like ramming it down my network's throat. And that's what a lot of salespeople would give me as pushback. I don't want to, you know, be beating everybody over the head that I work for a car dealer. But then don't. Do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
If you like cars and you're sharing pictures of cars, why not share a picture of a car and then check in while you're at the dealership? Because it'll just say ABC Motors. And that'll just, when someone's ready for a car, they know that you work at ABC Motors, and they're probably going to come and contact you.
Sure, it's just like a quick little reminder. That's a cool little strategy.
It's a constant reminder.
Well, you know, I'm thinking of like social selling, right? And you know, I get a lot of really bad social selling, and you know, it's like I connect with someone, and then within 5 seconds of me making that connection, hey, Jason, so you want to increase your business by 250%?
I see we're in the same industry.
Let me tell you, let me share my secrets with you. I'm like, I find that there are some salespeople that are attempting to do social selling, but that's the model that they're taking. Just go straight for the throat.
Right.
And they're not
and
trying.
They're missing the word social.
Yeah, they're not trying to be social. They're not trying to connect.
They're using it as a commercial. I put it this way in a sales meeting one day. I said, you know, when you walk into a bar or club and there's music playing, and and you see your friends. You don't like walk into the middle of a club and hold up your business card and say, everyone, I work in the car business. I got low interest rates and big rebates. My name is Joe. Come see me. That's not how you do it.
I don't know. It could work though. What's that app, Austin? That when Austin goes to clubs, so I can ask Austin. When you got to you're trying to ask someone a question, and it's super loud, and it just like pulls up on your phone. You're like, "Are you busy tonight? Can I just put up there? I sell cars. Anybody interested?"
That could be used.
Would that work?
But if you're like, let's say you're at the bar, and there's a game going on, and you're talking to the person next to you. Oh yeah, nice shot, or they kicked a field goal or something. You're getting to know that person. At the end of the conversation, hey, by the way, I work in the car business. Here's my card. If you ever need anything. That's being social, and that's the same as you should do it online. There's no real difference. That word social is there for a reason. It's a two-way conversation. It's not just broadcasting and throwing information out there.
And there are cool ways. I was thinking about this. One of the first dealerships I worked at, I was actually kind of annoyed by it. They all made us buy these jackets, right? And that there was a summer jacket or kind of a fall jacket, and then there was kind of a winter jacket, that kind of thing, right? Salespeople, we had to pay for them. They were cheap. I mean, they were $160. And I was like, that's kind of annoying. But I was never going to buy another jacket, so I just wore it all the time. Whenever I was out, I was at the movie theaters, I was shopping. That was the jacket I just wore all the time. But now, since I think back on it, I can't tell you how many people stop and go, "Oh, so you work there?" Right? I mean, it would just be in the middle of the mall.
You were branding before it was a thing.
Before, and I didn't even know it. But this is kind of the digital version of that. Is just being out there. But like we said earlier, and I want to dive a little deeper in this. The first goal should be to connect,
right?
Not sell. So how do you do that? Like let's go a little further. What are some good strategies of connecting with people versus just flat out trying to sell them?
To me, it's not selling, it's sharing.
Okay.
Everyone alive right now has a social network. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a following, everyone has fans, everyone has a group that they're connected with. Mm-hmm. If you're coming into this industry, the first thing you do is just share.
Yeah.
And you don't make a thing out of it. And people sometimes will feel uncomfortable about it, but say, hey, just wanted to let everybody know I'm starting a new gig in the car business. I'm going to try to help as many people as I can, get a great deal. And the nice thing about being in the car business is you have someone that you know,
yes.
That you're not walking in to some strange person. So if I can help you in any manner, let me know. That's going to initiate just conversation mm-hmm. right off the bat. And then it's just a repetition. And like I said, the easiest way to keep it going is those check-ins.
I like the check-ins. And I think it's not even check-ins just with your own dealership too, but it's being part of groups,
Oh yeah.
I was working with a salesperson a few weeks back, and they're like, "I'm trying to build my brand. Can you give me some advice?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I started talking to them a little bit. I'm like, "Well, tell me a bit about your brand." "Well, I sell Chrysler products." And I said, "No. That's not your brand. That's what you do for a living, and that's cool and all. But no, your brand is you as an individual, right? What do you like to do, right?" Turns out the guy's a total sneakerhead. All right, I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." There's I don't understand that too much,
but subculture in itself. Yeah.
There's a bunch of communities around that, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a part of this, and I go to this," and I said, "Okay, well, cool. Well, so tell me more about that." He's like, "Well, I'm a part of this group, and we go on these webinars, we talk stuff, we trade trade live, right?" I said, "Okay, cool. Do they know that you work in the business?" "No." I said, "Well, there you go." I said, "You just need to find yourself a community where you can bring value, and then at a point they need to know what you do for a living." Right?
Because in addition
you don't
to
sell
wearing
cars.
shoes,
yeah, you don't sell shoes for a
probably
living.
drive.
100%. I would assume so. Yes.
They don't wear those expensive shoes. They drive.
Yes. And then that once I explained to that, he's like, "Oh, okay, now I get it." And he's figuring it out. He's tapping into his community, all right, his online social community, and he's going to prospect and build some business out of that.
Salespeople and dealerships. I think sometimes dealerships, in general, as a business, miss the social aspect. They think
yes.
we have to just pay a third-party vendor to blast. Just put up our inventory, put up specials. Mm-hmm. Back in my day, the GM, when it was a slow day, he would come by and go, "We need to do an email blast. Just send an email blast." I never sold a car based off of an email. We didn't send one at 2:00 and then 6:00. "Hey, I got your email. I'm here. Let's make a deal."
What's going on?
That's not how it works. It's being social. The reason I mentioned Instagram is just people are visual creatures.
Yes.
That's why it's such a popular platform.
Yep.
People like to look at pictures. With a business, you can do the same thing with your most powerful tool. That's your Google Business Profile. It used to be called Google My Business. Before that, it was Google Business. It's been called a lot of things, but I don't think dealers in general are really taking advantage.
No, they don't quite need to. They don't know how to take advantage of that real estate yet.
It's and the best part is it's free.
Well, yes, of course.
And it's
for now
another place where you can really take advantage of people's visual tendencies. I've got a friend of mine at a dealer that I work with. He's getting 350 plus thousand picture views every 28 days. You know how Google's 28 days?
Yeah.
Over 300,000 views.
It's huge.
And there is a connect. I can't say that there's a dot-to-dot connection to the 1,800 phone calls, to the 4,000 website visits, to the 1,600 requests for directions. And to me, request for direction is a strong performance indicator, because if someone's going to click for directions, even if they say, oh, that's too far for me, there's still an intent. There's a reason they want to know how to get to your dealership.
For sure.
So 1,600 clicks for directions and 1,800 phone calls, 4,000 clicks to the website, that's strong traffic. That's free.
Well, what you share, I think, in those images is super important.
Sure.
All right. And, I see a lot of dealerships, they're a Honda dealership. So they just throw a bunch of images of Hondas on there. I'm like, guess what? Everybody knows you're a Honda dealership. It says ABC Honda, all right, in the title of it, all right? I think what people are missing the opportunity is where it's like, no, this is where you can actually show who you are as a company, not just the product behind it, So I see some dealerships are doing a great job of highlighting staff, talking about community events and stuff like that. Actually, that's one thing as an industry. There are some dealerships that do amazing jobs at it,
right.
And then some that still try to struggle to figure it out. I think the sponsoring the local hockey team is being in the community, but that's not. That's just being a part of it. To be in it, you need to be in it. And I think there's still a lot of things that we can learn about that. Now, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time today, and there's probably a lot more we still need to talk about here. But before,
this has been awesome. I appreciate it.
This has been a lot of fun. But for everyone out there watching and listening, who maybe want to continue some of the conversation that we've had, today, and like to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
You can find me on Twitter at MikeTheCarGuy1. You can find me on Instagram, Mike the Car Guy. You can find me at MikeTheCarGuy.net. I'm pretty much just put in Mike the Car Guy and Google me.
Awesome. Hey, Mike, thanks so much for doing this, man. This was a lot of fun.
Pleasure. An honor, man. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.